Hey guys, welcome to Whiteboard Wednesday. We've been talking a lot recently about tyre performance and how what's actually happening when tyres are sliding off the track. So I just want to remind you, sliding is the word we're using to describe a tyre that's just not going where we want it to. It's sliding off the track. But there are two subtypes of sliding. One is skidding, and skidding happens when the contact patch doesn't grip the track enough and actually slips along the top. It skids off the track. And that's the one everyone's usually aware of. And there's a second one, which is actually a lot more common, probably a lot more important, and it's twisting. And that's what happens when the contact patch grips the track, but it twists the shape of the tyre so much that the kart feels like it's sliding off the track anyway. And that one happens a lot more often than people realise. So, what we're trying to get here is a balanced kart. You know when someone comes in off the track, or you might have experienced yourself when driving, and you can just put the kart anywhere you want on the track. It's such a great feeling. You're right there on the limit and yet you feel like you can just turn the steering wheel, point the thing wherever you want it to go, and it just reacts and responds so predictably and then just launches off the corner afterwards. That comes when your kart's perfectly balanced. I like to think a perfectly balanced diet gives the kart the best performance. So what we're going to work out now is how to find that perfect balance, because so many people struggle to work out exactly where their weight distribution should be front to rear in order to generate that performance where you can just put the kart anywhere on the track. And there's another reason for doing it. Imbalance in a kart is basically lost potential speed. So if you're going around a corner as fast as you possibly can and then the front end starts to let go and you just start sliding off the track, the rear tyres had more grip in them that you could have used to go faster, but you can't because the front's already given up. And vice versa. Maybe you're in mid-corner, standing on the throttle and starting to accelerate, and it's the rear tyre that wants to let go mid-corner. The front had more potential in it, but it's lost because the rear can't keep up. So finding the point where all four tyres want to let go at once, that's where you'll get the ultimate maximum cornering speed, because you're using all of the available grip from all of the tyres that are touching the ground. The inside rear, we kind of don't count. So we've talked about all the variables in go-karting, and there are hundreds of them or thousands of them maybe, and there's way too many that we could ever fit them all in our head and keep up. But interestingly, there's one constant. There's this one thing on a go-kart which basically never changes, and it's the weight. The weight of your class is fixed. You have to weigh that amount. 140 kilos, 160 kilos, 180 kilos, whatever it is. That weight always is carried around with you on the kart, and it never ever changes. So the thing we can do, however, is move where that weight is so that it affects the various tyres differently. So I like to think of it kind of like a seesaw that you would have played on when you were a kid. Maybe you still play on them, I won't judge. How do you balance a seesaw? Obviously, if you stand on this end, clunk, drops to the ground, that's it. It's going to sit up like this. You balance a seesaw by getting on an exact correct point in the middle, that fulcrum point, and moving by the slightest amounts forward or back from that point will tip the seesaw back and forth. Getting the weight exactly centered over the fulcrum point is what you need to do to get perfect balance. And a go-kart is basically the same, except that rather than tipping the seesaw up and down like this, what we're really doing is finding out which end of the seesaw slides off the corner first. Are we losing the front end first or the rear end first? And then which way do we need to move the weight in order to get them balanced up again? So when your kart's not perfectly balanced, there's basically two questions that you need to answer in order to work out, should I move the weight forward or back? The first question is, which end slips first? Which end am I losing? And so if you come in and you're mid-corner and the front starts to slide away, then obviously we're working on trying to work out how to get the front tyres to hang on. Maybe you lose the back first, but is the kart understeering or is it oversteering? That's the first question to ask. The second question, and this is the important one that I think most people fail to ask, is the tyres that let go, are they skidding or are they twisting? And remember, in the last few weeks, we've gone over some of the signs that we can look for to ask the tyres that question. If the tyres are polished smooth with barely any grain on them and clearly haven't been doing any work at all, then it's pretty safe to say those tyres have been skidding, and the resolution for that is going to be put more weight on them in order to generate more friction, more heat, more grip. That's going to get more side load action out of that tyre. On the other hand, if the end that's letting go, you look at the tyres, Firstly, you would put your laser on them, for example, when you come off the grid and they're scorching hot, so you know they've been doing heaps of work. And then you scrub off all the dirt and you have a look and the grain's huge and wide, and like the inside of the tyre maybe is starting to show that really ripped effect where the rubber's just being peeled clean off it. That tyre is not skidding across the track, clearly. It's making so much grip it doesn't know what to do with it, and it's actually twisting the carcass of the tyre to the point where it's just driving the kart off the road. So, in that case, to solve that problem, you would not move more weight onto it. You would do exactly the opposite. You would take weight back off that tyre and send it to the other end. That's how you're going to get your seesaw perfectly balanced, and you'll be able to put your kart anywhere on the track that you want.